Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Let's Talk, our evening discussion program with our commentators, Tom and Marie.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
According to a recent report from the EU on the economies of the Eurozone, many companies are going through a difficult period. Senior managers are realizing that business as usual is no longer possible. Many companies need to embrace radical change in order to survive. What do you think about this situation?
Well, it's true that today companies must face up to the fact that they may have to change the way they do business. New technology is making this change necessary, and new competition can result in a company having to completely rethink its business plan.
I agree. Another example is when a company decides to enter a new market and becomes very successful. This success can require changes to the way the company does things. All these situations result in changes being needed to the way a company operates.
It's not easy to make changes to the way a company operates and the way people work. How can a company do this successfully?
Well, there's been a lot of research on this topic. It's called the change management process.
I see. So what are the elements of a successful change management process? Where do you start?
Well, it's important to analyze the situation carefully before embarking on a process of change. A good analyst will identify the key areas of a company's operations that need to be changed. Then an effective change strategy needs to be drawn up. This says exactly what needs to be changed.
That's right. Input to the strategy can come from the management team or an external consultant. In addition, all the company's workers should be asked for ideas.
Sorry, I don't quite follow that. Do you mean that the workers in a company should be able to decide what changes are made?
No, that's not what I mean. Everyone in the company should be canvassed for suggestions on changes that could be made to the company. This enables employees to buy into the change process. They feel included and are more likely to implement the changes once they've been decided.
Okay, I see. It's clear now. So, lots of people input into the change strategy. And what happens next?
Well, now the strategy has to be implemented. It has to be put into action. This can be the most difficult stage of the change management process. Staff need to be told about the changes, and some may need training on new ways of doing things. A member of the management team should be available to answer questions from employees about the changes taking place.
And once the changes have been implemented, is that it?
No, it's not. It's very important to consolidate the changes to make sure that employees don't go back to the old way of doing things. A manager should be chosen to act as a champion for the changes and should collect feedback from the employees to see what they think about the changes. This champion should praise employees who have implemented the changes.
Of course, it's very important to raise the morale of staff at this time. Otherwise, there is a risk that they'll revert back to the old way of doing things.
So it's quite a complex process. Well, companies need to know about change management techniques in order to survive in today's rapidly changing markets. Thanks to Tom and Marie for their explanation on how to bring about change in a company.
Goodbye, Eric.
Goodbye.
And goodbye, everyone, and see you again next week for another edition of Let's Talk.